So in the schedule, he should already be over here. And if they're not checked in, you go to the status on the bottom and you arrive them. You click arrived and then the color changes. See, well, it should have changed to blue, purple. He might have already been arrived. It'll turn to purple at some point. And if you ever need to refresh the schedule, that up in the left-hand corner does that in case something new has come up. See, it's purple now over there. Then you go up to the chart here, tab up in the left. And if you go to the unsigned column, it'll show all the notes that haven't been signed yet. And we're going to be working on Evan right now. So I click left, click that, and it opens up an empty template. We go up to the chart templates here. And you go down to the PTSOPT menu, and then you go to the right. They all have either Medicare options or non-Medicare options. For him, it's going to be an elbow template. So you'll go to not the Medicare one, but the elbow one. ND is just Noelle's initials because she designed these templates. And then if you do know which side it is, which side is it, Al?
My right elbow.
Right elbow, you pick the right. That just puts the affected side in a column. If you pick bilateral, I think it defaults to the right. Okay, and then that opens up a template. Step back a little bit. So now I'm just going to go through the subjective part, and then we'll break for the next video for the objective part. All right, so Evan, why don't you give me a little background on what's going on, when whatever started?
Like a year ago, just in baseball, from throwing a lot, my arm is just starting to hurt a lot more and more, and I just decided to go to a doctor because it hurt a lot throwing.
All right, so about a year ago. Did you have to stop playing?
Yeah, I sat out for some games because it hurt too much.
And where was the elbow pain? What part of your elbow?
Right inside.
On the inside. And was there any one particular thing that started it? Like one throw was the beginning of it all, or you just started it gradually coming on?
Just started it gradually.
All right. So often there's other things here. It talks about the onset of pain over here and how it happened, the location, what it improves with, how it started, gradual, that kind of stuff. To be honest with you, I put everything in the condition and history, and it's a lot easier to do it that way. Okay, so that was going back to the spring of last year. But you ended up playing through the spring and the summer, and you kind of on and off with the elbow pain?
Yeah.
Was there a period of time when it didn't hurt much at all?
Not really.
Okay. What about the fall?
Yeah.
Did you have to stop in the fall at some point?
I kept going through it.
Summer and fall. Okay. Then the winter came. Normally you would do winter workouts, and you didn't do any this year because of your elbow?
I had an ankle injury.
Oh, that's right. I heard that. Okay. Due to unrelated ankle injury. Is that all better?
Yeah.
Resolved. Did not participate in normal winter baseball, whatever, lessons, I guess, or workouts. Right? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you jump down here, once I'm in the middle of understanding it's baseball related, the prior participation for the sports goes here. For him, it's baseball. If it's a position or whatnot that he plays, I'll usually put that in there in parentheses. What positions do you play?
Center and catcher.
So center would be CF, and then catcher would be C. If he was a pitcher, I'd put P with a colon and what pitches he throws. Do you play any other sports at all?
No.
Not really. Okay. Number of exacerbations, I may or may not put this on there. This has basically been one episode from the beginning. It had never really resolved, so it's really just one. If you want to, you can right-click and just pick the choice. Same thing here. Prior treatment. Have you done any treatment for this at all? So you can right-click and click none or any of those other items that were there. Primary complaint of whatever is one of the most important things I want to know from him. So is throwing the only time that it hurts, or are there other things that you do that make it hurt?
It's always just like hurting, just throwing makes it worse.
Okay, so it's a constant pain with throwing making it worse. Is it any kind of throwing, like even short toss, long toss, or the harder you throw, the more it hurts?
Yeah.
Is there any other activity at all specifically that you notice it makes it worse?
Working out with weights.
Like strength training?
Yeah.
Okay, so the two things that bother him is medial elbow. So I changed this to be more specific than the drop down menu, which is preloaded in here. So yes, it's pain, but I'm gonna write medial right elbow pain with, now because of insurance reasons, instead of just saying throwing, I'm gonna say overhead ballistic activity. For example, baseball throwing. And then I'll say also strengthening exercises. Okay, and I spell check later since obviously that's a problem. If you have a secondary problem that's not similar to each other, I will put it in here. If you leave something blue, it'll just be gone after the initial template. So all this stuff about location of pain, quality of pain, symptoms worsen with and improves with, and whether it radiates, typically will already been in the history. So just because it's there, you can use it to help remind you what to ask. But on the other hand, you may have already gotten it in the history. One of my most important questions is, did you have to stop or come out of baseball? And he already told me that that's what happened, right? You did have to come in and out of playing, correct? Did it ever affect anything else in baseball, like hitting or anything like that?
A bit.
Okay. Hurt a little bit with batting. Also right-handed?
Yeah.
But less so than throwing, correct? While you're talking about right-handed and left-handed, there's always a current dominant thing. There's a big one to miss if you're going to miss one, so I always do fill that out early. On the intake forms, they'll talk about medication, so you can just simply click see list on file if he's not taking any. Are you taking any medications of any kind?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just say see list on file, and I'll look at those. Anything for the elbow in particular, or no? Got it. All right. Medical history might be whether there are any pertinent medical problems. The intake forms are relevant to his medical chart, and it will put part of it, so you don't have to copy what's been written on the chart. But I will always look on the intake forms here at this point. This is the MRI. I always try to get the MRI or surgical reports, but I will look on here, right here, for any medical history. Right here, there's an MRI ordered, and some of this other stuff that he's got going on. What's the dizziness or fainting about? When does that happen, or how often does that happen?
That's just from nothing related to baseball.
Okay. But you're not going to pass out here. Okay. All right. Even though on the intake form there's a 0 to 10 scale for pain, and they fill that out, sometimes I'll verbally ask it anyway. So this elbow pain gets up to a 9, you wrote. 0 is no pain, 10 is the emergency room. That's how I always verbally describe it. And right now it's still a 6, huh? And it doesn't get much lower than that. And when's the last time you threw?
Yesterday.
Okay. And what grade are you in?
8th.
Okay, so you're not in high school yet. Okay. This next line, primary functional limitation, we default, every template has that line because that's going to be the goal. You have to set 3 goals, a minimum of 3 goals for every patient. Primary functional limitation, patient is unable to achieve acceptable level of pain-free function. That makes your life easier as the therapist to put down that primary functional goal. You can put a secondary goal if there is something specific there. I could put it in here. I just don't like to be too sports specific for insurance purposes because we already know what we're talking about up here. Unable to throw pain-free. But the fact that he has resting pain is actually my biggest concern right now, and we'll see what the MRI says. So MRI is abnormal. We'll take a look at it here. When we read the reports, we tend to highlight them and initial them, and then once the front office sees that, then they'll scan them in. They'll wait for you to highlight them typically. So I'm taking a quick little look, and I'll go over that a little bit later. So there is some findings on there, so I'll just write abnormal findings, or I'll just say, I'll delete that or right-click that and go to abnormal and just write C report, and because that'll be scanned. No surgeries or risks. Again, like I said, if it's blue, it'll go away. Does it bother you when you're sleeping at all? No. So if no sleep disturbance, you do that. I almost always click off general upper extremity related ADLs for the upper, and the lower defaults to lower. Prior level of function, I don't really answer that one typically, whether or not you know it, because I don't find that to be useful. What are they having difficulty with in baseball? If there's something specific that he's talking about in athletic function, I may put it here, but I probably already put it in the subjective part at the beginning. For current work status, he's a student. Some of the older kids do have an after-school job or anything like that. Some of the kids are babysitters or do guard, labor stuff. I'll put it in there. Not worried about last time worked or work tasks. I might put their title there. And he lives with his family. I might put that, or I might just omit that. Because remember, if it's not there, if it's blue, it'll just not be there. So that's my subjective. I usually ask the patient, is there anything you think I left out in the history that you didn't tell me that ever happened with the arm, or you never got hit there with a ball or a bat? Did you ever what was I gonna ask? Ever have any numbness or tingling go into your hand?
Yeah.
You
my
did do that?
fingers.
That happens a lot or
Yeah.
often?
Um,
From the very beginning, or that's more recently?
that's like half or
Half the
like,
time?
it started like a couple last season. I just started to get like tingling in my fingers.
Which fingers? The little ones?
The-
All of them?
Yeah.
Started to notice pain to fingers when throwing. During when? When was this last? Summer or fall?
Fall.
During the fall. Patient describes all fingers 1 through 4, but unsure of which ones. Correct? Like,
I think all four.
you know for a fact?
Yeah.
Okay. All fingers 1 through 4. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the objective part.